Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Bristol Township Planning Commission meeting. I would kindly ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to ask you to remain standing. To keep in mind our troops that are in harm's way, our prisoners of war, our killed in action, our missing in action, for the children who have been separated from their parents, for those suffering from these terrible wars and these tragedies of weather that we're constantly having, and any personal intentions you may have. Thank you very much. And again, welcome, and I'd like to welcome our viewing audience. And on our...
Through the chair. Oh, you'll have to excuse me. Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
Okay, so one of us has a laryngitis problem. No. So, but she's gonna, through the chair, she just said, go ahead.
Listen, a class of 32 kids, I gotta always talk loud. I'd like to request approval to amend the February 6th meeting minutes.
I have a motion to, that's a motion.
Motion to amend the February 6th
To amend the
minutes.
February Planning Commission meeting minutes to reflect which one, why we're going to amend them.
Why we're amending them?
Why? What do you want me to say? Okay. So we did, according to the way we received our minutes and everything, there was an error in some of the approval of the minutes, because everybody was not here, that we actually had a name on there that actually we're not able to have approved those minutes. So now we have a motion to amend those minutes so we can take that approval out of those minutes. Correct. I have a motion and a sec, and do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Good?
Yeah.
We don't need to do anything else? Okay. The item that we have on our agenda this evening, we have one item. It's the land development elements landscaping 522 Stanford Road, Fairless Hills, PA. Requesting preliminary and final land development approval for a landscape contractor storage yard on the property located on Levittown Parkway, Fairless Hills, tax parcel number 5-48-485 in an R2 residential zone district of Bristol Township. We have a representative.
Good evening, Commission. Bryce McGuigan from Begley Carlin, here on behalf of Elements Lawn and Landscaping Services.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for having us tonight. Again, here on behalf of Elements and its owner, Larry Fulford, who's in the audience with us this evening. We also have with us Ken Olekshak from Pickering Courts in Somerset, the engineer on the project and the engineer who designed the plans you see before you this evening.
Good evening, gentlemen.
All right. As you mentioned, Mr. Chair, the property it issued sits along Levittown Parkway. It's about 1.88 acres in the R2 district and is currently unimproved vacant land that's actually is improved, but only by trees and slopes. And until recently, I believe there was some homeless encampments there. But when Larry purchased the property and was able to clear it out partly, what we're here today for is to request preliminary and final land development approval to finish what Larry started and to clear out the property so that he could make it home to his business. As the application suggests, Elements Lawn and Landscaping Services, which is a local small business that employs approximately 10 people and mainly handles residential associations and commercial developments with a little bit of residential work as well. Specifically, we went before the Bristol Township Zoning Hearing Board actually about 1 year ago this month to request zoning relief for the use, together with impervious surface, coverage ratio, as well as some steep slope disturbance relief as well. Fortunately, that was granted. Since then, we've gone through the land development process, and we're here before you tonight. Specifically, let me just take you a little bit through the plan before we kind of get into the review letters and the waivers and everything else. So what we have here is the rendered version of the plan. But like I said, it fronts Levittown Parkway along the bottom edge. This north is on the left side, south is on the right side. So as you're driving up Levittown Parkway, this property will be sitting there right on your right. It's nestled in between a few of the churches that you have right just below the intersection with New Falls Road. So like I said, about 1.88 acres, and what the plan is right now there's just woodlands all around this area. We're going to clear the property out, we're going to level it off, and lay a gravel lot here for Larry and his business. Now essentially, his business, like I said, it's a small local landscaper and hardscaper, so it's primarily going to be used for storage of vehicles, equipment, and other materials. We have here some sheds that we're going to bring from Larry's existing site, which is also in Bristol Township. He's been here operating for 15 years, wants to stay here. So that's where most of the materials are going to be stored until Larry builds this building right here, which is planned to be a pole barn, about 4,000 square feet. That, even though it says here phase 2, the reason being is because he's going to be doing that in approximately 1 year. The plan is to develop the lot, move his business here, and then when he's able to refill some of the coffers, let's say, from some of these expenses that yours truly can, and the plan itself are draining from him, then he's going to put the building up and fully move his business here. In the interim, we spoke with Township. We're going to have bathroom facilities on site and that sort of thing, so we're not trying to do a sort of a half-built operation here. So anyhow, the lot itself is going to be gravel. There's going to be a paved area in front, obviously, for vehicles coming and going. We don't want gravel getting on the road or at the actual roadway or anything like that. There's going to be handicap parking here. Those will also be paved, fully ADA. We're aware of this. The lot itself, the actual improved area, will be surrounded by a row of arborvitaes, green giants. We did actually receive zoning relief to have those trees in lieu of a more formal buffering requirements of the ordinance. And again, Larry's a landscaper, so the whole point of this is going to be designed to look nice, pleasing from the roadway. In the back, we have a stormwater management system to the rear. In terms of utilities or whatnot, in terms of it's going to be on-lot water and on-lot holding tank for septic. We've already had discussions with Township on that point, and we've received a letter of non-opposition from the Lower Bucks County Joint Municipal Authority as well, so no issues on that front. With respect to the review letters, we've had the opportunity to review the Pannoni letter. Fortunately, it was a pretty quick review. There were no comments. We've also had discussions on, as far as traffic goes, with PennDOT, and PennDOT's been out. They've taken a look at the plans. The only thing they had, they wanted us to move this driveway. Originally, it was approximately 10 feet to the left. They wanted us to move it 10 feet to the right, presumably due to keep distances between the neighboring driveway and ours a certain way, but they wanted us to move it more so 10 feet down the hill. But otherwise, PennDOT didn't have any questions or issues, and if the commission has any questions about that or those discussions, Ken and his office have been handling that part of the project, obviously. Otherwise, we reviewed the Gilmore review letter as well. Everything within the Gilmore letter is either going to be a will comply or a waiver. Specifically, as we're sitting here right now, we've got a grand total of 14 waiver requests. I'd be more than happy to go through each one of those individually.
If you would, please.
Sure. So to save myself from saying all of these various sections repeatedly, I'm going to go by the Gilmore letter and their numbers, because I think that's just easier. So waiver request number 1 is to request preliminary and final together, which obviously, due to the scale of the project and the scope, we're not talking about the world's biggest project here. We don't want to
Okay,
waste.
so I don't want to, because you do talk fast. I got to give you that. Unfortunately, I am going to ask you to read those numbers for our records. God bless you.
Bless you. Sure. So the first waiver is section 177-14, which is preliminary and final together. Obviously a standard waiver, but I think it's a little bit more applicable for this project in light of the limited scope and scale of what we're proposing. The second waiver is from 177-35A and B, which is to permit a minimum cartway half width of 20 feet and to not provide curbs or sidewalks along Levittown Parkway. And this relates to one of the variances that we received last year. You're only supposed to have a 35-foot cartway. We're proposing 40 in total. The reason why we want a wider cartway is to better allow the access both into the site and leaving the site when our trucks are coming and going. Waiver 3 is from 177-41K, which is to, again, not require, actually this one relates to parking. It's not require curbing within the parking area. And again, this is not a publicly accessible yard. If I did not say that earlier, then now we are not a publicly accessible business. This is just basically a staging, planning yard, and storage yard. So the whole parking area, and a number of these waivers are going to deal with the parking area. It's going to be gravel. It's not going to be lined. It's not going to be curbed, because again, it's for Larry and his guys. So again, number 3 is no curbing within the parking facilities. Waiver 4 is from 177-41L, which is to not require the proposed parking spaces to be striped. Again, same reasons. Number 5, from 177-41Q, a waiver to not provide shade trees in the parking area. Again, this is an industrial use. It's a commercial contracting use. We're not trying to put trees. And if anything, trees would hinder the maneuverability of the lot in terms of our trucks and whatnot. Number 6, section 177-41S, which is a waiver to allow a parking area with stone instead of an actual paved parking area. Number 7, and again, that's limited to the main portion of the lot. We are going to pave the entryway into the property as well as the ADA accessible spaces. We're not trying to get gravel onto the roadway, and we're not trying to obviously cause issues with ADA. Number 7, which is a waiver from 2 separate sections, 177-43A and 177-66, which does not require sidewalk to be installed on the Levittown Parkway frontage. There's no sidewalk there, and I hazard to think we don't want people really walking along Levittown Parkway. Number 8, it's a waiver from 177-45A and 177-67, which does not require curbing along Levittown Parkway, again, to maintain an existing condition. Number 9, 177-48D3, which is a waiver to permit grading within 5 feet of property lines and within the right-of-way. Again, it's just necessary because of the work we're doing in order to finish the site. And if the commission has any questions, Ken will be happy to explain why that's necessary. I believe we're at number 10, waiver from section 177-51A1C, which is to not provide street trees. Right now, there's a lot of street trees there, and I think they're kind of causing a bit of a problem for some of the people coming out of the church ahead of us in terms of looking at traffic coming northbound on Levittown Parkway. We're going to remove all the trees on site. We're going to remove a majority of the trees on site. We're not proposing any formal street trees. Rather, what we are proposing, and this will look nice at the end of the day, is there is going to be a line of arborvitaes and evergreens in the front, excluding the driveway area. But it will look nice, and it will serve an actual purpose. It's not actually going to cause a problem for sight lines as is currently in the property. Number 11, which is a waiver from sections 177-51B1 and 177-51B2A, which is a partial waiver for some of the buffer requirements. And again, we've requested previous zoning relief related to buffering requirements in order to, instead of providing 3 different types of trees and intermingling those, what we're doing is just evergreen. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Bob. I appreciate it. So this shows generally every single one of these trees will be a green giant arborvitae. And again, the purpose of this, it's going to look nice at the end of the day. It's going to provide some visual buffering from the lot itself, and it's just going to look nice and lush, and it's going to not require a whole lot of maintenance to keep it looking that way. We've seen what's happened to the property when it's gone neglected for a long period of time, and I don't think what Larry's proposing, and again, it is his literal line of work. So it's something where it's going to be a badge for him to wear, because if this doesn't look good, well, guess what? Who's going to use Elements Lawn and Landscaping Services for their properties?
No, you don't want that.
Number 12, which is section 177-92A1 and E1, which is a waiver to request, again, it's a design waiver, that the plans be drawn at a scale other than 1 inch equals 50 feet. 13, another design waiver, 177-92C3, which is not require identification of existing features within 200 feet of the property. And again, that's a design waiver, and in light of the actual limited disturbance area of this, it's unnecessary. And then last one is 177-92C9, which is a waiver to not require identification of certain large trees on the property. There are quite a number. We are removing quite a number of these trees. And again, it's just because of the actual existing site right now. So those are the actual waivers at issue. Obviously, if the commission has any questions, we're more than happy to address those. You know, we think that this is really a limited scope development, one that will be a much better use of the property than what's currently there. And the waivers themselves, as we just went through, mostly relate to the existing parking area, or the existing features near the property, existing lack of curbing and sidewalks, as well as the proposed parking area that we're trying to install here. But if the commission has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those. We have Larry here, and we also have Ken.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Commissioners, you heard the presentation. Do we have any questions?
I do, through the chair.
Through-
Just how many employees are at that site?
Sure. So there's going to be, typically, Larry has 12 employees working for him.
Okay.
What's going to happen is the employee is going to function like any other landscaper, general landscaper that you see, where, Bob, can you do me a favor, and can you go back to the first page for me? Thanks. So what's going to happen is they're going to come in the morning. There's going to be, you know, all the employees are going to come in. They're going to grab their gear, grab the trucks. There's between 3 and 5 trucks that will leave every day. And Larry has different crews who will mow lawns, who will do landscaping, who will do hardscaping. So about 7 o'clock in the morning, there will be 3 to 5 vehicles leaving the site, and then from 7 to 8, 9, 10, all the way up through 3 o'clock, nothing's going to happen here. All right. Then around 3:30 to 5:30, the trucks will come back. Everyone will unload. They'll keep the trucks there, get their personal cars, and they'll be off. So generally speaking, there's not going to be much going on this property during the day. It's going to be kept clean, kept looking good, and when the trucks are actually leaving, no one else is going to be on those roads. To be honest, we think it's a really good complementary use to the churches that are nearby. They're busy on the weekends, cars coming and going. We're going to be quiet as you know,
The church.
quiet as a church mouse while church is going on. So that's generally how it's going to work.
So
And
minimal traffic going in and out with the trucks?
correct. And it's going to be obviously right in, right out only. We understand that. And that works well with Larry's business too, because most of his business is up near the Langhorne Newtown area. So they all have to make a right out there, and they're heading straight up anyway. And at the end of the day, when they come back to the site, all of his guys go to, it's a gas station down in the industrial area near, Quarles, near Manning Boulevard and Runway, what's it, Runway Drive?
Yeah, one-way road.
Yeah. So they go back there,
So gas station, fuel station is down there. That's what we fill up every day. So
and the nice thing.
minimal traffic, so it's easy in and out.
And the nice thing about that too is from Quarles, it's literally right down Mill Street Parkway. You make a left onto Levittown Parkway and you're right back into the site. So it works really well.
Any other questions from the commission?
Thank you.
Any questions from the audience? Bob, you have anything? Kurt, do you have anything? Okay, hearing nothing. Commissioners, you've heard the presentation. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. In regards to land development, Elements Landscaping, 522 Stanford Road, Fairless Hills, PA, requesting preliminary and final land development approval for a landscape contractor storage yard on the property located on Levittown Parkway, Fairless Hills, tax parcel number 5-48-485 in an R2 residential zone district of Bristol Township. The commission would recommend to council to approve that, under the following circumstances, that you are in total compliance with the Gilmore and Associates March 8th letter, with the exception of the waivers requested. We would agree to the waivers requested, and we would just make sure that the development is contingent upon receiving the PennDOT cert, the water, the sewer certs.
Perfect.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and second. Any comments or questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Having nothing else on our agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.